$28 million. 8 years. 1 rookie. Nike placed a monumental bet on Caitlin Clark before she ever stepped foot on a WNBA court, and when Stephen A. Smith stood up to defend that deal, the First Take set absolutely exploded. Today we're diving deep into the truth that shook the very foundation of women's basketball. $28 million, 8 years, 1 icon. That isn't a clerical error. That's the monumental wager Nike placed on Caitlin Clark before her professional debut. When Stephen A. Smith championed that investment on national TV, the atmosphere didn't just chill, it ignited. "No, Molly, you didn't." 5 words. That sufficed. The First Take studio temperature shifted instantly. Molly Qerim froze. Cameras rolled. Stephen A. Smith didn't flinch. This transcended basketball discourse. This concerned capital. Massive capital. The variety that redefines leagues. The variety that redistributes influence. And the variety that triggers deep visceral discomfort when linked to the wrong individual. Before continuing, if you're curious how one rookie signature contract fractured women's basketball's foundation, hit that like button immediately. Because what follows isn't mere athletic drama. It's a societal tectonic shift. Here is the untold reality. Caitlin Clark's Nike partnership didn't just eclipse records. It dismantled the framework. And when frameworks collapse, panic ensues. Especially when the catalyst is a 22-year-old white athlete entering a league roughly 80% black. But Stephen A. Smith voiced the unspoken truth. When he spoke, the narrative pivoted. Let's revisit the origin. April 2024. The WNBA draft loomed. Caitlin Clark remained at Iowa, concluding the most illustrious collegiate career ever witnessed. 3,951 career points, surpassing every Division I player, male or female, throughout history. Nike recognized the value. While analysts scrutinized her transition, while scouts doubted her defensive prowess, while pundits questioned the momentum, Nike executives prioritized behavior over box scores. Iowa's matchups averaged 1.6 million viewers with Caitlin. That exceeds many NBA broadcasts. When she battled LSU in the 2024 NCAA Final, 12.3 million viewers tuned in, the highest-rated women's game in 20 years. Venues sold out months early. Not for Iowa, for her. Nike identified the trend. Wherever Caitlin Clark traveled, revenue erupted. Consequently, they gambled. $28 million across 8 years. The largest endorsement ever secured by a female prospect entering the pros. Greater than Breanna Stewart's. Greater than Aya Wilson's. Greater than any veteran who'd actually conquered the WNBA. Cue the detractors. She's unproven. Others deserve that spotlight. This is entitlement, not achievement. Stephen A. Smith confronted those murmurs directly on First Take. But his subsequent remark caused Molly's visible shock. She's directly responsible for those ratings. Stephen A. was resolute. He didn't waver. He stared at Molly and articulated what the sporting world feared admitting. Caitlin Clark rescued the WNBA's 2024 campaign. Not entirely solo but undeniably. When the Indiana Fever selected her first in April, something unprecedented occurred. Season ticket demand surged 1,000% instantly. 1,000%. The Fever's digital platform crashed. Apparel vanished in hours. Then the schedule commenced. Game 1, Fever vs. Connecticut, Sunday, February 1st. 2 million viewers on ESPN, the most-watched WNBA broadcast in 23 years. Caitlin tallied 20 points alongside 10 turnovers. She appeared flustered, overmatched, nearly pedestrian. Irrelevant. People remained glued. Metrics kept rising. When Indiana toured, opposing stadiums doubled their capacity. The Dallas Wings relocated their Fever matchup to a larger arena, still sold out. The Washington Mystics recorded their highest attendance ever against Indiana. This wasn't about victories. The Fever finished 20-20, narrowly clinching playoffs. This was about presence. Stephen A. understood. She didn't choose to be born white, he shouted, his voice pulsing with conviction. She didn't create the pre-existing issues. She's just playing ball. Molly countered. Conflict exploded. Stephen, you're prioritizing marketing over merit. Molly's tone was controlled, but her challenge was sharp. She leaned in, eyes fixed on Stephen A., as the studio fell silent. Enter the Team USA controversy. June 2024. USA Basketball revealed the Paris Olympic roster. 12 spots. 12 global elites. Aya Wilson, Breanna Stewart, Diana Taurasi, Sabrina Ionescu, Titans and legends. Caitlin Clark's name was absent, and the internet detonated. Casual observers were incensed. How omit the biggest star in the sport? ESPN's feedback surged. Social media burned. Even non-fans suddenly possessed opinions on Olympic roster construction. Conversely, the basketball community's response differed. Peers defended the snub. Mentors justified it. Experts analyzed the film. The logic was clear. Caitlin was a rookie adapting. Turnovers were high. Defense was lacking. The Olympics demanded proven stars familiar with international play. It made tactical sense. But Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharpe argued differently. This isn't just basketball, Stephen A. asserted. This is brand expansion. You want WNBA growth? You roster that girl. That sparked Molly's ire. You're merging separate concepts, Molly contended. Athletic skill and commercial appeal aren't synonymous. Using marketing to validate a spot insults what others achieved. Superficially, her stance seemed logical. Andrea Williams and various pundits agreed. The Olympics represent excellence, not publicity. About those who earned it through sweat, not fame. Yet here the dialogue complicates. Because in professional athletics, merit and marketing have never been isolated. They've always been intertwined. The dilemma is who gains when they merge. Stephen A. spotted the hypocrisy immediately. For decades, the WNBA languished in the shadows. Athletes earning meager wages compared to men. Vacant stands. Delayed broadcasts at 2 a.m. Negligible press. The league hemorrhaged funds while the NBA provided subsidies. Nobody discussed merit then. Nobody protested the invisibility. The world simply ignored it. Now finally a catalyst arrives. Someone who fills stadiums, crashes servers, and drives conversation. Suddenly the debate shifts to whether she deserves the spotlight. You know what's curious? Stephen A. leaned forward, his voice piercing the tension. When male athletes revitalize their sport, we label them superstars. When Caitlin does, we debate fairness. Molly attempted to retort, but Stephen A. persisted. His next statement halted the argument entirely. Be resentful of the forces that marginalized you before she arrived. Stephen's voice softened, becoming deliberate. This wasn't theatrical anymore. This was profound. Be resentful toward those who denied you the praise, the glamour, and the profit you've earned for decades. But don't target Caitlin Clark. Silence descended. Molly's face changed. Even Shannon Sharpe, rarely quiet, simply nodded. Stephen A. continued. When black people marched during the civil rights era, fighting every battle possible, they didn't reject the white allies marching beside them. They didn't insult their partners. They reserved their anger for those who refused help. This surpassed basketball. This addressed the intricate crossroads of race, capital, and visibility in women's sports. For generations, black women sustained the WNBA. Cheryl Swoops, Lisa Leslie, Cynthia Cooper, Dawn Staley. They navigated the league through its bleakest financial eras. They sacrificed pay. They worked second jobs. They played abroad for survival. The world barely blinked. Now, Caitlin Clark surfaces and corporate America suddenly produces checks. Nike commits $28 million. Gatorade recruits her. State Farm features her. Viewership records break weekly. The haunting question lingered, why her? Why now? Stephen A. didn't flinch. He answered. A rising tide lifts all boats. Stephen A. gestured at the lens, his voice absolute. Caitlin Clark is attempting to be that tide. She isn't stealing, she's generating attention that aids everyone. The data is indisputable. In 2023, the average WNBA salary was $116,000. Respectable, yet nowhere near the NBA's $10.8 million average. Many athletes still competed overseas to survive. Then 2024 happened. League-wide attendance climbed 48%. Ratings spiked across every network, not just Indiana's. The league secured a media deal worth $2.2 billion over 11 years, a 300% surge. Ticket costs rose. Merchandise boomed. Sponsorships peaked. And it wasn't exclusively the fever gaining. When Caitlin Clark met Aya Wilson and the Aces, 2.4 million watched. When she faced Angel Reese and the Sky, the rivalry sparked more engagement than any WNBA pairing ever. Every opponent saw increased earnings. Every stadium she visited sold more snacks. Every city she entered felt a financial surge. Economics don't deceive. So when Molly doubted if the Nike deal was premature, Stephen A. had proof. This isn't speculation, he said. This is data, actual sales, actual demand. Nike didn't guess. They monitored everything. But one final point remained. Y'all should have done this year one. Stephen A.'s exasperation peaked. Not at Molly but at a system that delayed recognizing the obvious. When Nike debuted Caitlin's signature campaign in February 2025, the ad featured Travis Kelce, Kate Martin and Ann Clark. The slogan, "So, can you make it from there?" It went viral. Millions of views. Social media erupted. Basketball enthusiasts, casual fans, and even sports novices were clicking, sharing, and reacting. But Stephen's point was deeper than marketing. "We're entering year 3, he noted during First Take. Year 3. This belonged on day 1. He was correct. Caitlin Clark reached Iowa in 2020 mid-pandemic. Empty stands, sparse coverage. By sophomore year, she was the most electrifying player in college. By junior year, she was shattering records. By senior year, she was the undisputed National Player of the Year. 4 years of undeniable brilliance, audience building, and proving her draw. Yet major contracts arrived late. Heavy investment moved slowly. The industry hesitated, demanded more evidence. Meanwhile, male equivalents with her impact would secure wealth before their first pro game. That was the frustration Stephen A. channeled, and Molly sat silent. The moment resonated differently than typical debates. Stephen A. reclined. He stopped lecturing. Nothing remained to argue. The statistics spoke. The contracts were inked. The influence was quantified. Caitlin Clark required no further validation. By her rookie season's conclusion, the evidence was massive. She averaged 19.2 points. She distributed 8.4 assists, leading the league. She set the single-season assist record at 337, eclipsing Alyssa Thomas. Rookie of the Year was a formality. But individual trophies were only half the story. The Indiana Fever, winners of only 13 games prior, finished 20-20. They reached the playoffs for the first time since 2016. They became essential viewing nightly. The ripple effect reached everyone. Angel Reese became a legitimate star for Chicago. Their rivalry fueled unprecedented heat. Aya Wilson secured her 3rd MVP in Vegas before her largest crowds ever. Rookie Camila Cardoso benefited from the glare. Veterans like Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner finally earned mainstream acclaim. The entire league ascended. Stephen A. saw this unfolding. That's why he defended Caitlin so aggressively. Not because she was fragile, but because the criticism ignored reality. She wasn't stealing the spotlight, she was expanding its reach. Yet the friction persisted. Here's what Stephen A. grasped. Greatness always encounters resistance. Always. The larger the impact, the louder the backlash. It happened to LeBron. It happened to Serena. It happens to every transcendent figure who dares evolve their sport. Caitlin Clark was no exception. The Nike contract wasn't merely about footwear or ads. It was about legitimacy, investment, and a corporation betting $28 million that women's hoops finally found its crossover icon. When that bet yielded returns faster than predicted, the tone shifted. Sales surged post-launch. Nike's digital traffic for women's basketball soared. Her signature colors vanished in hours. Resale market spiked. The Travis Kelce commercial outpaced Nike's male campaigns for the same window. Tangible money, tangible demand, tangible cultural reach. Stephen A. concluded calmly. Brands don't invest millions on vibes. They invest on impact. Nike measured everything and committed. That silenced the room. Not theories, not takes, not sociology. Results. Caitlin Clark didn't reply to the First Take episode. She never does. While pundits analyze her merit, she plays. While critics doubt her, she fills seats. While skeptics demand proof, she shatters records. That's the gap between talking and doing. Stephen A. saw it. Molly eventually admitted it. The world is still digesting it. Because here is the undeniable truth. Caitlin Clark changed the game, its value, its audience, its investment. The WNBA is forever altered. And so are those following her. That rising tide? It's already lifting ships. Aya Wilson just signed a record deal. Nafisa Collier's status is soaring. Angel Reese is building an empire. Rookie pay is finally climbing toward livability. All connected. All traceable. All undeniable. Next time someone questions if Caitlin Clark deserves the spotlight, remember this. Remember Stephen A. drawing a line. Remember the Nike data proving everyone wrong. Remember the rookie who entered a skeptical league and refused to be anything but legendary. This wasn't hype. This wasn't favoritism. This was recognition. If you've watched this far, you know the future. Caitlin Clark isn't finished. Not close. Her first shoe drops soon. Season 2 begins with unmatched expectations. The Reese rivalry will grow. The 2028 Olympic conversation will return. The journey is just beginning. Subscribe to witness the next chapter. Hit the bell because what's coming is even bigger. Comment below, was Stephen A. right to defend Caitlyn so fiercely? The debate continues.